Hello! Early 20th century Shanghai. The streets of the city are divided between criminal gangs. Sing and his loyal friend Bone dream of joining the most powerful of them, the Axes. The guys try to commit a robbery in the Pig Sty Alley, using the gang's name as a cover. And this act draws them into an epic confrontation between criminals and legendary Kung Fu masters. Even the great and unbeatable villain Beast goes to fight them, who after years of battles has finally found a worthy opponent. But what role will Sing, who at first glance seems to be completely clueless, play in this grandiose story? At the Shanghai Crime Department, Inspector Chan and his subordinates are frozen in fear. The sound of hand-to-hand violence can be heard in the frightened policeman's ears. The police station is held in fear by the enraged head of the criminal crocodile gang. He has carried out a beatdown over the arrest of a young girl who has committed a minor misdemeanor. Having finished the moral humiliation of all those involved, the criminal, taking his girlfriend, goes out. The bandit, walking imposingly down the street, senses that something is wrong. Not a soul around him. The synchronized clatter of numerous feet can be heard in the distance, and the doors and windows of the police station hurriedly close behind them, making it impossible to go back. Crocodile and his accomplices are surrounded by a gang in strict black suits. They are a ferocious gang of the Axes, whose leader, Brother Sum, smugly smirks in the face of the captured criminal. The crocodile sends a distress signal, but no help is coming. While he was beating the cops, his cowardly accomplices defected to the side of the enemy. The Axes ruthlessly massacre his rival, not even sparing the defenseless girl. And the cops clean up the crime scene after the ruthless killers, as usual. Pig Sty Alley is the poorest neighborhood in Shanghai and is of no interest to gangsters, so civilians live here in peace. This neighborhood is inhabited by ordinary working people, loaders, tailors, peddlers of noodles and rice porridge, one of whom is a skilled cook named Donut. All the residents of the block pay rent to a good-natured landlord who has a habit of wandering around the alley drunk, which is very different from his wife, a stern mistress with perpetual curls in her hair and a cigarette in her teeth. The stern woman establishes a strict order and does not let slackers who are late with their rents get away with it. One day, two strangers, Sing and Bone, burst into the measured life of the Pig Sty Alley. The partners want to scare the workers by posing as members of the Axe Gang. The imposters intimidate and blackmail the barber, forcing him to pay money. But the scrawny old gardener is very smart and bravely resists the raiders, while the peasants, attracted by the scandal, are gathering around the shop. Adventurous Sing tries to keep up the appearance and bravely challenges the peasants to a fight, choosing from the crowd the weakest-looking opponents. But all of them turn out to be skilled martial artists. Sing, getting pretty nervous, tries to call off the duel and retreat. But the formidable hostess appears behind him. Taking off her pink slipper, she fearlessly attacks the impudent liar. Trying to get out of the pickle, the guy launches a flare, pretending to call his brother-in-arms for help. Suddenly, the famous gang really shows up at the gates of Pig Sty Alley. The group advances relentlessly on the civilians, like dark thunderclouds on a sunny day. The fearsome hostess hides from the forthcoming showdown with the merciless killers, but the fearless hairdresser boldly goes out to meet the dangerous enemy, and before he can utter a word, the bandit brings his retaliatory axe over him. Yet, just a moment later, the bully finds himself in a basket with a broken back, tearfully begging his comrades to call for help as soon as possible. Pretty soon, Pig Sty Alley is filled with a horde of ferocious goons, led by their vicious leader. To find the perpetrator of the attack on his accomplice, Brother Sum drags a defenseless woman and child out of the crowd and douses the poor victims with gasoline, threatening to set them on fire if no one admits to their actions. The villain counts to 3, holding a burning lighter in his hand. The peasants, bowing their heads in fear, dare not utter a word. So the bandit carries out the threat. But at the last moment, the lighter is intercepted by a tough fighter who takes the blame. At the same second, the furious thug attacks him, but receives a decent retaliation. While the Kung Fu master playfully scatters his opponents, another great fighter, fighting with metal rings on his wrists, rushes to his aid. A humble tailor in his regular life turns out to be an excellent martial artist. Unable to withstand the pair of peasants in hand-to-hand combat, the Axes pull out their firearms. But even here, their attempts are in vain. The team is reinforced by another fighter, flawless in his pole fighting technique. The quiet chef, nicknamed Donut, the master smashes the attackers, raising clouds of thick dust around himself. With their tails between their legs, the legendary Axes flee the battlefield, Gang boss Sum and his disgraced posse return to their hideout. The criminal is enraged by the gang's shattered authority and blames it on a couple of pathetic wannabes posing as members of a famous gang. The culprits are shackled and suspended by the arms, becoming targets for axe throwing. The leader's advisor gives the command to execute the hostages, and a sharpened axe flies instantly in the direction of the terrified Sing. But it does not reach its destination. The guy breaks his lock and skillfully avoids imminent death. The axes, appreciating his clever trick, give the nimble burglar a second chance, and Sing manages to save his friend Bone from death as well. The fearsome brother Sum, impressed by the victim's dexterity, decides to keep both of them alive and lets them go, counting on them being of use to him in the future. After gaining their freedom, Sing and Bone contemplate how to earn brother Sum's trust to join the gang. Sing intends to commit a crime and expects to be successful, telling his partner that he knows Kung Fu. The boy tells a story from his childhood about how he was stopped by a street tramp and told that the boy had an amazing aura and excellent genetics to become a martial arts master. The tramp then persuaded him to buy a priceless ancient Kung Fu scroll called the Buddhist Palm for $10. Sing remembers with shame that he gave the charlatan his last money at the time. The boy believed him and studied the technique from the scroll, but was shamefully defeated when confronted by bullies who were hurting a defenseless girl. At that moment, Sing decided to take the road of evil, the one he intends to continue on. A scandal erupts in Pig Sty Alley. The enraged landlady is able to throw the trio of Kung Fu masters out into the street, no longer wanting to keep them in the apartment block, lest they cause more trouble. The peasants intervene to protect the fighters, and she easily silences the whole crowd at once. In the midst of the argument, a wooden knife handle suddenly flies right into the landlady's face. It turns out that Sing and Bone are in an ambush nearby, having chosen the hysterical woman as the victim of their first crime. It doesn't go as planned. Sing gets stabbed with knives himself, and in addition to that, 2 hungry cobras bite the poor man right in the face. The trouble with the mistress is avoided, but something strange happens to Sing after the reptile bite. However, after enduring the painful suffering, he is fully recovered and the stab wounds heal without a trace. Brother Sum, seeking revenge for the shameful defeat of his gang, turns to a pair of mercenaries skilled in the rare technique of deadly musical kung fu. He sends them to Pig Sty Alley to finish off the undefeated trio, who at this time are forced to pack their belongings and leave their home. That same evening, the villains attack the masters one by one to make it easier to kill each of them. They lure them out into the street to the beat of the mysterious musical instrument, whose strings materialize deadly sharp weapons in the air. The battle in the courtyard attracts the attention of the landlady, who fearlessly pounces on the mercenaries screaming. Failing to achieve silence on the first attempt, the woman uses her famous trick and emits a thunderous scream, the sound wave of which shatters even the magical weapons of the cunning mercenaries. And they, unlike the unsuspecting peasants, understand that before them is a great master of Kung Fu. The drunkard husband of the landlady, who is in his silk pajamas, easily scatters the scum on the sides, is also a master of martial arts. The landlady crushes the mercenaries using her powerful lion's roar technique, making them crawl away from the battlefield in fear. The helpless Sing and Bone continue their attempts to accomplish their first crime. Now they choose a mute street vendor as their victim, whom Sing attacks with a knife, while Bone searches her wagon for money. The unarmed girl does not resist, and in addition to a box of coins, holds out a second box to Sing, which contains a sugar lollipop. The boy is overcome with memories. It turns out that this is the same girl he tried to protect from street bullies years ago. Sing tries to shake off the memories and emotions that have gripped him. He angrily tosses the candy aside, runs away, and chases his faithful partner away, wanting to be left alone. But as soon as he sits down to calm his feelings, he gets dragged away by a couple in black suits. Sing is brought to the casino of the Axes and is suddenly informed that the hero has been accepted into the gang, and Big Brother Sum immediately assigns him his first mission. The burglar is sent to an asylum and instructed to find the right room, open the lock, and get the prisoner out of there. Disregarding the bad omen, naive Sing sets out on the case and bravely carries out the assigned mission. He opens the door, behind which an unsightly old man is held captive. This is the infamous villain and kung fu master named Beast, whom the resentful brother Sum sends to destroy his detested opponents. However, the Beast does not have to go in search of the couple. The Vulture and the Dragon Girl are already waiting for him nonchalantly at the poker table, and here begins the grand battle of great masters. But it turns out that the couple from Pig Sty Alley cannot withstand the power of the great fighter and hit him with at least one strike. Their salvation comes in the form of a funeral bell, with which the mistress amplifies her lion's roar technique 1,000-fold, and a deadly hurricane finally knocks the invincible master off his feet. Believing the kneeling fiend to have surrendered, the couple retreat, but the nefarious beast seizes the moment and attacks again. During the melee fight, all three get entangled in a tight knot. Cowardly Sum orders hapless Sing to cut it, so the guy decides to strike the beast on his head. Unable to bear such humiliation, the villain leaves his opponents to deal with the upstart. The unstoppable, enraged Kung Fu master smashes poor Sing with powerful blows. But after losing his guard for a moment, he discovers that the trickster has disappeared along with the great Kung Fu consorts. The Vulture and Dragon Woman return to Pig Sty Alley, dragging poor Sing to the Temple of the Thousand Buddhas. Shedding bitter tears over the wounded hero, they begin to treat him with the traditional methods of Chinese medicine and wrap the poor man in bandages from head to toe, when suddenly they realize that his fatal wounds heal rather quickly. Led by enraged beast, a horde of axes rush into Pig Sty Alley. There, they are met by an unharmed Sing, who, as the tramp once prophesied, turns out to indeed be the great unbeatable Kung Fu master. He skillfully defeats the oncoming opponents, dispersing the bandits and making his way to his main enemy, who he promptly strikes with several powerful blows. The beast, able to catch bullets on the fly, is powerless against Sing's speed and agility. Crushed by endless blows, he decides to use his last trump card in the fight, the legendary Toad fighting style, and with a powerful punch and a sharp leap, sends the guy flying high into the sky. But Sing turns the seemingly final crushing blow to his advantage and sets out to use the Buddha's palm flying from heaven technique, the secret strike he once learned about in the $10 book. Having accelerated to cosmic speed, Sing transforms into a deadly fireball, flying mercilessly from the heavens at his enemy, the ground beneath him shaking and squeezing into the shape of a giant palm, making the wretch plead for mercy. Having been spared, the scoundrel still makes one last pathetic attempt to rush into battle with his hidden weapon, but the great Sing stops him. Defeated but alive, the beast kneels before the great master and acknowledges him as his master. As always, you'll find the name of the movie in the description of the video, and in the comments let us know. Did you believe that Sing would turn to the side of good and discover his hidden powers? And don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the next awesome retelling.